Hi everyone, and welcome back to our FPSRPG series. In this episode, we're going to take our gun and our shooting mechanics we have for that, and now set up a target dummy to take damage, and show how that damage can be shown on the screen. So, let's jump in and take a look. So the last time we were here, we made this shooting mechanic to shoot our gun. This is just a single shot for now, but we will be adding different types of shots later on when we get around to it. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to add damage to be dealt by the gun. But we also, in between episodes, have made a little thing here to help us test different jump distances. So I can jump with a walk and land. I can work out where I'm landing. And I'm also done a sprint jump. Oh, I can hit the button quick enough. Actually, do it better. Come on. Sprint jump distance. And also we've been doing some height stuff too. So there's a jump height of 200 units. As you see, I can't reach this one. Okay. And we're doing various things there to test out those when we start building a level up. But as I said, we want to do damage. So to do this, I'm going to do a target dummy that I can shoot and practice my deal damage effects on. So let's create our target dummy. So I'm going to go to my game folder, go to blueprints, and we're going to create a new blueprint class of a character. And we're going to do BP target dummy. And we'll open this up. And in here, we're just going to have a visual of the mesh. And I tend to use this little yellow one that's in here. So if I go down, this little tutorial one, it makes a good target dummy. I'll put it into our scene here. And move it down. Go minus 80, minus 90. There you go. Okay. And we're going to hit compile. Save. So I can now put this into my scene, and I want to be able to shoot it. Now immediately, you can see the line traces will go straight through them, okay? This is because our gun here is using a visibility trace, and pawns, like the character, ignore visibility by default. You can change that, but what we're going to do is we're going to create our own trace channel for bullets and other damaging effects. So we're going to go into our project settings, and we're going to go into collision and go to trace channels and add a new trace channel. And we're going to do this one as bullet. And we're going to change this channel here to ignore for everything. Okay, so everything's going to need to ignore the bullet damage. Accept and close that. And the reason why we chose ignore is because if we look at the game as a whole, most things in the game won't respond to damage. The list of things that will respond to damage are a lot smaller, so it makes sense to make that be ignore and make it more of a white list rather than a black list. Okay, so let's make this guy now block the damage trace channel that we just did. So we can open it, blueprint editor, go to the capsule component, and we want to make sure on here that the capsule is going to have the bullet on thing and it's set to ignore. We want that to change that to overlap. Not block, overlap. And the reason why I'm going to tell you in a second is because on the mesh is where we want it to block it. And the reason why we want to block on the mesh is because we want to be able to detect head shots, leg shots, and arm shots, as well as chest shots. And we need to be able to make it through the capsule to reach the mesh. So we're going to overlap at the capsule component, and then the mesh is going to be the one that blocks it. So let's go to collision presets, change that to custom, and set it to block the bullet trace. Okay. And close that. We now need to tell our gun to use that trace channel. So let's go over to the gun, and we're going to go to fire bullet function. And in there, we're going to change the trace channel here to bullet. Compile and save. So now, when I shoot the gun, we should see our traces hit the character and get blocked by the character's mesh, but not the capsule. See? And that's imperative because we want to be able to calculate things like headshots and double damage like that. Okay, now we've got that, we actually need to actually apply the damage. So let's go back to our gun. And on line trace by channel, we're going to drag out from here and apply damage. And we choose the apply point damage. The reason why we want to point damage is because we want to send over the hit event. And so we can know which direction the enemy got shot from, and as well as different things like normals and other things to work out far more useful things when it comes to like responding to damage hits. So apply point damage is one we want to use. And so out hit, we'll go to hit info. Next is we only want to apply point damage if this thing returns true. So I'm going to put in a branch for that. And put that in there. And on the out hit, we're going to break this open. And in here, we are going to get the hit direction. Now, the direction is easy enough to calculate from the trace start and trace end. We're going to drag out from start, search for direction, use get unique direction, and plug in the trace end into the to node. We're going to plug that into the hit from direction. The damaged actor is going to be the hit actor from this break. And the damage causer is going to be the gun itself. So we do self. And we can minimize this to make things a bit neater. And then for base damage here, we've got our damage stat that we added onto our gun before. Drag that out and put it over here. And this is set by default to 10. So compile, save that. Okay, so now let's go to our target dummy. And to respond to damage, you're going to do an event for point damage. So this will be the one that fires off when we receive point damage. And you get all that information coming through here. So let's just do a simple print string first of all. For damage. And let's go back to our game. And if I shoot him, we can see in the top corner there, 10 being printed. Working. That's good. Now, it's not an RPG unless we see some numbers flying off of the character's head. So let's go ahead and work that in here. So for this to work, we need to go to our UI folder and we're going to create a new widget. And you go user widget, W damage number. Open this up. And in here, we're just going to have some text. That's it. I'm not going to write anything else, just text. But we want to be able to position this text over a particular spot on the character's screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this with a canvas panel. So right click, wrap with canvas panel. And now you see it appearing up here. So if I just change this temporarily to 99999, we can see what that's going to look like. And we're going to leave it at top left because we want the anchor here top left because calculation wise, this is how we're going to work out which position on the screen it should be. All screens are measured from the top left. So if you have it anchored there, it makes it easy to line up. Now to make this text look a little bit better, we're going to go over to the font options and go down to outline settings. And I'm going to change the outline size here from 0 to 1. And that'll do for now. Compile, save that. So this text is going to not only just change its number, also its position. So no matter what, we definitely want to make sure it is variable. So tick the is variable box and we'll name it. So text damage. Like that. Okay, now let's go to the graph. So what we need to do is we need to position this text correctly. Now, if I go back to the designer view, you can see here that the text here is assigned a position of X and Y of 0, 0. And it's assigned in the top left here. If you want that to be more aligned, so it's in the center, you want to change the alignment over here to 0.5, 0.5. So it's more centered in as you would expect it to. But what we're essentially doing is we'll be telling this text to change its location based upon the position X and position Y of the canvas panel slot. So let's go to the graph and let's go to pre-construct. I'm going to drag out our text damage. And from that, we're going to do slot as canvas slot. That'll give us access to those position variables that we need. And from there, we'll do set position and plug that in. The in position, we're going to right click on that and promote that to a variable. And we'll just call that position. The position variable, we want to be able to set and change at the moment of this creation. So we make it editable and we're going to make it exposed on spawn. So turn that on. Compile that and save that. Okay, so now appear on the screen. It won't go away though. So we need to make this thing not stick around. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an animation, and then once the animation is finished, we'll make it destroy itself. So let's go back to our designer view. I'm going to go up to here, go down to my animations option, and we'll go add animation, and we'll do appear. Select the animation you want. Then on the track with the text selected, you want to go add track and choose the text. It should be here. And in here, we're going to go ahead and change the render transform. So go up to render transform. And on here, this is how you can change its location. So I'm going to hit the key, which is the middle button there, between the two arrows. And you see a little pink dot appear. Then I'm going to go a little bit up. And I'm going to change the translation in the Y to go up like this. Okay. And then make it go down. Okay. So it looks like that. Now, I'll probably want to leave it hanging a little bit. So I'm just going to expand this open. Move that across. Add another key there. But I'm going to bring it back down a little bit. Why does it not let me change it? There we go. Oh, numbers gone here a bit weird. Okay, we're now going to make it fade away. So I'm going to go back to the animations, and on the text image here, do the plus and choose the render opacity. There's. Okay, so at this point, I want it to be completely solid, and then I want it to fade away. So I'm going to make sure the keyframe that's set here, I'm going to set it to where I want it to start fading out. About there, and then at the end I'm going to change that to 0. So, and set key there. So now we get, I probably need to set the 1 here to start, make it easier. So 1. It's going a bit weird. I don't know what's going on here. Change it to 1. There we go. 1, and then this one should be 0. There we go. Okay, now do. So we're going to go over to our graph, and in here you'll see the appear animation in the list. We're just going to right click and search for animation finished. And you should see the one that's animation finished with the appear in brackets. We'll select that one, because this is the one that will fire when that animation finishes. And when that finishes, we're going to do remove from. Okay, so that is that part done. Next, we need to actually add this thing to the screen. So go back to the target dummy. And rather than doing print string, we're going to create a widget. And we're going to choose our damage number widget. And as you can see, the position is going to come through on X and Y on the create widget node. If you don't see it on here, it just means you haven't ticked the expose on spawn. So go back and tick that on. So we need to get this position. This is the position of the character on the screen. Okay. So I need to project. And in here, if you scroll up, project world to screen. And in here, you need a player controller. So get player controller. The world position is going to be the actor's location. And then that'll give us a screen position, which we can then drag in to position there. Now, I tend to also add a little bit of randomness to the actor location. So we're going to go and add onto this a random vector, random unit vector, and multiply it by distance. So I'm going to plug that into there, and then to turn this into a float, drag that out into random float in range. And we're going to go between 0 and, I don't know, 50. Okay. And that'll make it randomized in different direction by between the value of 0 and 50 and adding it onto the current location. And we'll get a different screen position each time. So hit compile and save that. Now that's been created, we need to add it to viewport. So just do add to viewport. And there you go. So let's take a look at that in action. Oh, we haven't actually told the animation to play. That would help, wouldn't it? So let's go back to the damage number. And on the pre-construct, once it's finished, we're going to drag out the animation for up here and do play animation. And that's it. Let's try that again. Cool. So we just now need to send over the amount of damage it's actually taken. So go back to damage number. On the pre-construct still, we're going to drag out our text damage and do set text. And then from that, the in text in here will become a float. So we're going to go into the variables and add a damage float. Damage float. Make this editable and again expose on spawn. I'm going to drag this out and then plug this into the in text there. Now, because we are doing a float in here, I tend to go into the text here and turn off the fractional digits to 0. That way we won't get that 0.5 or anything like that appearing. It'll just be the whole number. So you could also turn this into an int if you like, but no big difference. Okay, hit compile and save that. Go back to our target dummy. I'm going to refresh our node by right-clicking and refreshing. There's damage. We'll plug this into here. And compile and save it and test it out. Okay, there you go. And that'll do for now. As I mentioned right at the start of this series, nothing is final until later on. We just need the basics in there, be able to create the thing we want, and then we can go through and fine tune and tweak things as we come to them later on. But right now, we can deal damage to things, as well as report that damage back to the player on the screen. And there you have it. We can now shoot and deal damage. However, as I said in the video, we want to talk about making it deal damage to different parts of the body in different ways. So we're going to go through the process of making a weak spot, such as the head, for our characters that we are damaging. You can watch the next episode right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. You can find all my videos early from just $1 a month. Thank you so much to all the patrons and YouTube members for the continued support in the channel. Thanks for watching, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.